Hey guys, welcome back to your weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling Magic cards this week from June 14th to the 21st of 2024. Today's video is jam-packed with a lot of Modern Horizons 3 cards, but there's something else we need to talk about, and of course it does start with a B and ends with a W. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again everyone for hanging out with me today for another Top 10 installment, and a reminder if you enjoyed today's video to like and subscribe to the channel. Another way you can show support for my channel is of course using my TCG Player affiliate link. You'll find it in the description of all my videos, including this one. Anything you purchase, this channel gets a kickback. It's much appreciated. Now let's jump over and take a look at our number 10 card. Now this is one of those cards that if Wizards of the Coast doesn't reprint it fairly quickly, the price of this card could get out of hand, so keep that in mind. This card may only have 1,700 sales, but that's still $45,000 of sales action. This card has an average price of $26.53 per copy, but there's a lot more going on with Planar Nexus than most players realize. Take a closer look. It is a land, but it says Planar Nexus is every non-basic land type. Non-basic land types include cave, desert, gate, lair, locust, mine, power plant, sphere, tower, Urzas. But it says every, okay, which means even future cards that may not exist yet and other land types later on. This is something to be considered when you're purchasing a card like that. Our number 9 card is Nadu the Winged Wisdom. Now, this card is an average price of $16.84, but with 1,723 sales, that's still $29,000 of sales action. There has been a lot of conversation about players with strong emotions, either for or against banning this card. Does it impede play? Does it take away the fun factor? How do players feel about this card? And will it get banned? Or a lot of issues players are really mulling over, even though this is a recent release. Now, what does this card do? Well, this card is a flying Toucan Sam bird wizard. Creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice per turn. I mean, it's a mana generating machine. When you draw all those cards and you're getting all kinds of land into play, all you gotta do is engineer it. So I can understand both sides of that coin. Let's go ahead now and take a look at our number 8 card this week. And this is Toxic Deluge. Now, this is a card that a lot of players showed a lot of interest in, and although the value is still crashing down, it still has a lot of value. As a $9 card, that 1,940 sales is $17,460 of sales action. That's still a lot of money moving around with a card that's been reprinted before. Now here's the funny thing, in case you guys didn't know, the Moxman doesn't own one of these. I thought I did, and I don't, so I will be buying one. It says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life, all creatures get -X until end of turn, and it's a sorcery. There's a lot of value in that card. It makes a lot of sense, and the chance for a rebound on this card is not so far-fetched that can go back up to that $11, $12 mark. So buying it at $9 can seem like a bit of a bargain, getting 30% off now before it dries up and players move on to the next thing, which of course is going to be Bloomborough, and yes, we're going to talk about that in this video because there's stuff going on. Now, when we take a look at our next card, this one here has been here for a while, okay? I've seen it in the last couple of years. Buried Alive has appeared. But now with this massive price decrease, it's back on the list again. 2,367 sales, but it's only an 80-cent card now. This thing here comes in with 1 black and 2 generic, and it's a sorcery. But dredge decks love this card. The idea of what you can do, and when you actually plan your deck around dumping things into the graveyard, it's insane. Because this thing says, search your library for up to 3 creature cards and put them into your graveyard, then shuffle. Well, obviously in a commander deck, this is going to just be brutal for players who may focus on getting their creatures into the graveyard, because there are so many ways of bringing these things back into the battlefield alive and well and coming at your opponents. So I can understand it. But that price drop is so phenomenal for players that it made the top 10 again a couple of years later, because there's enough players out there who wanted to get play sets of it. And that's the only way I can sum that one up. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card, Modern Horizons 3 again. And this is going to be the Glimpse the Impossible. Okay, it's a 25-cent card. So why are players buying it? Because when you look at the 2,980 sales, it's only 745 bucks. That's almost 3,000 copies. It's less than $1,000 to get all those copies. And of course, it's a cheap card, but is it usable? Is it playable? Is this something players are going to get their hands on? There's a reason why they're buying it, and that's why we have to take a closer look at the card. Remember, 1 red, 2 generic sorcery. So what are we getting for our mana here? It says, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. At the beginning of the end step, if any of those cards remain exiled, put them into your graveyard and create a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn token for each card that went to your graveyard this way. Those tokens have sacrifice to add a mana. It's a great way of generating mana on a future turn. It makes sense why players are buying it. Now our next card, the Witch Enchanter, comes in at number 5 with 3,111 sales, which is $5,943. So this is a card that's like the buck or two. This is not a huge value target, but don't forget it's also an uncommon. And for uncommons to be a 25-cent card for so long, seeing uncommons in that $3, $4, $5 range isn't something we've seen for the better part of a decade, at least en masse. So what does the card do? Well, when you look at the card itself, the human warlock side, we see it's a 2/2 creature for 4. It says when the enchanter enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. That's kind of a nice thing. Having the warlock come in will do the duty. I like that. But you also can have it flip into a land. And as the Witch Blessed Meadow enters the battlefield, you pay 3 life or it comes into play tapped. So it's a worse version of a shock land, but if you need mana, it's going to do the job. And it's less than $2. Now, our next card. The Echoes of Eternity, although it's falling in price, remains on the top 10 this week, holding its position at number 4. 3,640 sales, which is still $23,623 of sales volume. Now this card, of course, is 3 waste and 3 generic mana to cast, and there's a lot going on with Eldrazi's right now, and it's flooding the market with players interested in building Eldrazi decks. Okay, I don't know if it gets played in Modern that much. I haven't played Modern in years, but I know for a fact that a lot of Commander decks are being built because it's even in my circle. Now, it's a Kindred Enchantment Eldrazi. If a triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, copy it and choose new copies. You can see there's a lot going on with this card. And if you think you can't cheat this onto the battlefield, you're wrong. Think about the reserve list cards that can get enchantments into play. Crazy stuff, okay? Our number 3 card this week is Lex Unsealing, again from Modern Horizons 3. It comes in at $1.89, and at 4,351 sales, that's still $8,223 in sales volume. A lot of action for a card like this that, again, is an uncommon, and it's around that $1 to $2 mark. For 1 blue and 2 generic, this enchantment, again, notice it's an enchantment like we just showed you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on with these cards. It's kind of crazy to think about it, but it lets you realize how many players love the Eldrazi, love the idea of them, and are building with them, okay? Now this enchantment does have Devoid. This card has no color. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 4, 5, or 6, create 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn tokens that can be sacrificed for mana. And of course, whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 7 or greater, you get to draw 3 cards. It's an amazing card. Now, our next card, Vexing Bauble, hangs in there once again, and this card comes into the number 2 spot just like last week. The sales volume is still high at 5,643 sales, or a total sales volume of $22,400. Now, this card I really didn't expect to hold this spot. I thought it was going to slip all the way down to number 5, but it looks like players aren't done buying it. $3.97, again, as an uncommon, guys. There's a lot of value here that offers a lot of reprint equity later to Wizards of the Coast. Keep that in mind. If you're going to hang on to these, be warned. It's an artifact that says whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. 1. Sacrifice Vexing Bauble and draw a card. This thing's got multiple effect abilities which make it amazing to have in a multitude of decks. So yes, we're going to see it in play a lot of times. It's going to be sideboarded a lot, but when it gets reprinted, expect it to go down to 25 cents. It's not going to hold long-term value. Wizards will cash in on this one. Now let's go to the number 1 card, and you shouldn't be surprised because it is Urza's Cave, Modern Horizons 3, taking the top spot for 2 weeks in a row now. This card has 6,054 sales or $20,900 in sales volume. Guys, cards like this just have so much purpose for players. There's so many reasons to use them that it is fitting in all kinds of amazing decks right now. I myself am building 4 different commander decks, and yes, my copies arrived, and yes, I actually overpaid for mine, but I'm okay with it because at least I got my 4 copies and they came in a reasonable amount of time. So what does the cave do for us? Well, it adds colorless, which is fine, but it's that sacrifice the cave, search your library for a land card, and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That's the epic part. Going to get anything you need, and then finding cards that allow this card to function in its graveyard is amazing. Now let's get to the wrap up here so we can discuss some other stuff that's going on right now in the world of Magic the Gathering. Welcome back to the end, the wrap up part of this video. Most people never make it this far. So if you're here, you're a true believer. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And a few things to cover. And yes, I'll have a more in-depth video later this week. But Bloomburrow is doing some strange things. Pre-orders for the set are selling out already at small retailers. Not Assassin's Creed, but Bloomburrow stuff is going, okay? And what I mean by that is if a store already kind of pre-ordered things and kind of is being a little more cautious with how they put their stuff out, you are getting stores saying, I'm only going to put, maybe I got 6 bundles on allocation that I should get, I'm only going to put 1 or 2 up for sale. And they're already sold out. And they have people wondering if they're going to have stuff in stock the day of. It's interesting. I'll get more information. But the other part that I got to follow through, and make sure you check with your stores because every store is different. But the amount of sales for Modern Horizons 3 has actually fallen off a bit faster than I thought. Yes, some of these numbers are still really high and a lot of money is slushing around the market. But there's still a lot of amazing cards that don't make the top 10 but still have pretty good sales. Like Vaultborn Tyrant is still being bought. The price is leveled out. It's not dipping. It's not falling. It's taking money. So it looks like there's just little bits where everyone's buying cards they want right now at a price they think is reasonable now that other sets have settled, which is just draining a little bit of sales volume from Modern Horizons 3. The numbers are just about 20% lower in some cases than I expected, but it doesn't mean it's anything bad for Modern Horizons 3. The box has been opened, the stuff's like all over the place, and a lot of players are very excited, which is great. It's great you get the cards you want, and you saw a lot of the cards are kind of expensive, but others are very reasonably priced and offer a lot of utilitarian purpose to a lot of deck construction builds, which is fantastic, I think, for players. So I just want to wrap that stuff up. I'll get back to you guys on the Bloomburrow when I know more. But overall, sales are strong this week. Things continue to build up toward Assassin's Creed, which, no, from my knowledge and what I'm getting, is not highly sought after. As much as people might be telling you so, I'm not seeing a huge thing of it. Even stores that usually would like give me like, hey, you might want to mention this in the video. Even they're saying it. Like, they got stock. It's fine. They're not going to be running out anytime soon, okay? So, thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow for the Reserve List Top 10 edition. And, of course, the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. You guys have a great weekend. Play some Magic. Kick back. Relax. I'll see you guys soon. Well, Taco Tuesday has come again, but instead we've ordered nachos and cheese, and we get to represent because these are the patrons. These are the supporters of the channel who show up every day and make sure content gets created daily for everyone to enjoy on YouTube, and I hope you guys are. So thanks a lot to my patrons, thanks a lot to my YouTube membership members, and my regular viewers. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. I know. There's too much yard work to do here, so I didn't get to go there. So there's no green screen background. You are live with the Moxman at his residence this weekend. I know. I bummed you guys out. No cool back graphics. But it's okay, you know why? Because if you're here, this is the Ramble Jamble. Ramble Jamble! And we've made it to the end, my friends. Now, if you think I have something amazing and classy to say, some in-depth perceptive thoughts, I don't. I'm thinking about cutting grass right now. I'm thinking about pulling weeds and things that just have to get done. And at the same time, I recognize that some of these cards are going to plummet. Some things are going to be missed and ignored. And there are so many products still crammed in together that it is going to be one of those moments, I think, where there's a lot of opportunity for some cool cards. So I'm hoping to get a few cards myself. I'm looking so excited for Bloomburrow. And I know it's starting to show in my videos. I can't help it. I'm like a kid in a candy store, guys. That's how I feel sometimes. And just, Wizards, don't ruin this for me. Don't ruin it. You guys have a good day. Wizards, don't ruin it. I hope you're watching Wizards of the Coast. Watch my face. Don't ruin it. Ramble Jamble.